If there was no laws for 24 hours, what would you do?
Yeah, I think if there were no laws for 24 hours, I would declare myself a gang leader. I would call it something really cool, fancy, probably something like the Patel cartel. And I'd get probably 14 other bad-looking motherfuckers who, if you just look at them the wrong way, they're gonna fucking slice your throat open, right? And I'd surround myself with 14 other bad-looking motherfuckers. I'd take over La Fuente Blanca, right? And people could knock on my front door and fuck around if they wanted to find out. But that 24 hours only lasts for 24 motherfucking hours. So if they wanna try something, I fucking triple quadruple motherfucking dare them to, because we only got 24 hours.
You're watching The Strangers Podcast, hosted by Chester Bedingfield.
This is Chester Bedingfield back with another episode of the Strangers podcast. Here we have a full lineup of individuals that you may or may not recognize. Starting with you on the right, looking spiffy in that gold suit with the bow tie.
Oh, you're too kind. You flatter me, Chester, you devil, you. It is me, that is right. Rajit Patel, former mayor of this fine city of Los Santos and a current lawyer serving the citizens because Patel truly is for the people.
Beautifully said. And to the right of Mr. Patel, can I have you introduce yourself as well?
Of course. How can I beat that, huh? Name's Max Payne, former mayor of Los Santos, current Bastion CEO.
Beautiful introduction. And one of our favorites here, right here on the corner with the nice tie.
Chief Johnny Rico. I'm chief of the Los Santos Police Department.
Beautiful. Good to see you guys. And as well, you on the end there, miss.
Hello, I'm Olivia Cross and I'm Rico's girlfriend.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for joining us here today on the episode of The Strangers. Let's talk a little bit about your history in the city as you guys have found it to be your home. Raj, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, Chester. I entered this city as an immigrant from Pakistan and not knowing really what to expect. I must say myself, coming here was a culture shock. You Americans hit different, so to speak, right? But I noticed when I came here that fundamental changes needed to be made, and that there was a lack of something. There was just something that needed to be there that wasn't. So, and that was the police force at the time. At the time, we had a police force that was just in shambles. But we had some shining light in the department that they just needed to be elevated, and that was part of my first vision for when I came into the city. And that's I saw a change that needed to be made, and I wanted to be mayor to make this change. I ran for mayor. I won the election. That's when the hard work started of making change, because change is easier said than actually done. At the time, we had a dictatorship of a leadership structure for LSPD, and there was no union between the departments. But I'm so thrilled that I was able to meet Rico, and at the time Hart, and these great individuals really turned our LSPD into a force to be reckoned with. More specifically, a professional department that has values, ethics, morals, but also can uphold the law with ease, knowing that they are now empowered to do their job the proper way. And that's kind of how I got into this city. I came into a broken system. I rose through the community. I reached out. I networked. I socialized with the people. I wanted to be a part of them. I wanted to know what their struggles were. And together, we built this city into what it is today.
Beautifully said, Raj. And you come from being an immigrant, and you honestly even skipped over being a business owner, and then of course becoming a part of the community that way, and then making your way to mayor as well. Definitely a beautiful story.
Exactly.
And speaking of mayors, Mr. Max Payne, you also had your time as a mayor. How was that?
Oh man, it was good while it lasted. Sad it came to an end, but at one point I just couldn't keep going. I couldn't keep the the bus moving,
Yeah, yeah.
So
And before we even get into that, maybe talk about your time before becoming mayor, how you ended up choosing the city as your home, and what led you to the decision of running for mayor.
yeah, of course. I mean, I chose this city because I had great friends currently living here, and in my eyes, that was the only reason I needed to come over. I fell in love with it ever since. I think it's been about a year now. And bringing up what Raj had said, when I came around, absolutely no police, which is quite different than what it is now. Now it's this big force that everyone looks up to and enjoys being around them. But back then it was something else, let me tell you. But I'm glad we've gotten to where it is now, and I can definitely thank Rico, for being part of that.
Hey, you too, man. You too. You guys too.
Yeah,
Make good
definitely.
choices up there in City Hall.
Absolutely. We love to see change for the better around here, going from the bottom of what used to be, I guess, the Wild West, or some would say the Purge, with no police, and now we're here where we do have law and order, which is always good. And great segment. So speaking of law and order, Mr. Rico, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing, Chester?
Doing amazing, my friend. And now, of course, you are in a very admirable position, being the chief of police. Talk about your time in the city leading up to that, and what made you want to become chief.
Gotcha. Well, I came into the city with a couple of officers, Lieutenant Huck Owens and Sergeant Lenny Johnson. They were in my academy class. And we joined the city with the intention on becoming cops. We really wanted to be cops. We were all bullied in school and didn't have any luck with women. So we made the only logical choice: become a cop. So we all became cops. We went to the same academy class together. We actually spent this is about you, Raj. Our first couple days in the city, we had to wait for academy. So we had like 4 or 5 days before academy, and so we pooled all of our money together. We came in like we each had probably like 15 grand. We pooled it all together so we could all three get gym memberships, and we just got fucking yoked in the gym for 3 days. And the noodle exchange was like the spot back then. It's still the spot, but like back then, the late night spot. Raj
Oh
knows what I'm
yeah,
talking about.
I
Just big
do, I
crowds of
do.
people. So we'd jog on by and say hi to everybody over there. And then they were like giving us food. Boba was one of the first people we met. She'd always hook us up with food. So I just remember carbo loading on Noodle Exchange, getting yoked as fuck in the gym. And we hit the academy just like ready to go. And we graduated academy. It was me, Lenny Owens, and this girl Emily Smith. And yeah, so after academy, things we wanted to do in the department. And I mean, Mike Law was the chief at the time, but he was pretty receptive of our suggestions and changes we should be making. And same with the other agencies. They gave me an opportunity, even just as an officer. I had just graduated to officer to start and instruct and change the academy. We all had good ideas on how to make this police force better and make a police force the citizens would look up to, and I mean, trust me, it was a long battle before we ever got to that point. But early on, I was able to put myself in the right positions to kind of help induce the change that the police force needed. And
Right,
I
right.
just started rising through the ranks up until I made commander, and Mike Law departed our city there. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mike Law departed our city, and we had a long conversation, Mr. Mayor Patel and I, ex-Mayor Patel and I, about he wanting to be chief. And at the time, I just really didn't want the responsibility. I wanted to be out on the streets, street cop. And but yeah, Raj put David Hart in there and made me assistant chief. He said, Rico, please be assistant chief. And made a lot of changes there, and David Hart resigned and I became chief. And I mean, it's been a long, fun journey, but I'm very proud of all the changes in the department that we have now.
Absolutely. Very inspirational to hear. We're glad you're definitely in that position. And then, of course, to the right of you, your girlfriend, Olivia. How's your time been so far in the city?
My time has been pretty good in the city. I flew in like about 4 months ago, from a very, very like small country town, and this was like the biggest culture shock ever. Like everybody is so welcoming here, like, and everybody's doing like a good job in the city. Like all the workers in any like restaurant are so helpful, and my time here has just been really good. And when I first flew in, I will say that there was like no police force, and that was just 4 months ago. And what Rico's doing here is amazing.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely no bias there, not because you're his girlfriend, but because he actually is doing amazing.
You're too
He
nice,
actually
Chester.
is doing amazing, definitely.
If you
Thank
don't
you,
mind,
guys.
if I may ask, Olivia, what do you do to survive in the city? What's your occupation?
I am actually the owner of Polito Pawn. And I also work at D8, and then I work at the Taco Farmer, and I work at the Lawless Huntsman. So yeah, I kind of work everywhere.
Beautiful, doing it all. Definitely staying above water, I would say.
Definitely.
All right, thank you for your introductions, guys. So obviously we know what's been happening recently on different subjects, of course. But what we'll start with is Max, your time as mayor and how that ended up coming to a conclusion is bittersweet. Obviously, can you fill in the people that may be new to the city as far as like what led you to the end of your term as mayor?
Yeah, of course. At the beginning, it was I was genuinely having fun, which not a lot of people can say. But I was doing something I loved, something I wanted to keep doing, and eventually, after about a month and a half, um, my one of my best friends, my deputy mayor Sean Duffy, was brutally murdered, and I just didn't feel safe in the position anymore. I don't know I don't know how to keep going basically, and I just wasn't what I believed the city needed at the time, and I took upon my responsibility to just I backed out. I let all of City Hall know, they or City Council, they all agreed with me. They knew where I was coming from, and I just couldn't feel safe in the position I was at. After my one of my best friends, the deputy mayor of the city, was just brutally murdered, and absolutely nothing was being done to it from my point of view. I couldn't have that and just keep doing as I was doing, and that basically led to me retiring.
So just to keep people in the loop, even to this day, the mysterious death of Sean Duffy has not been resolved. You would say.
I actually have never heard anyone speaking about it from a cop's point of view. I always get the I'm sorries or the I'm with yous, but I've never gotten the hey, we're reaching a point. Hey, we're trying. Nothing to that matter.
Rico, how do you feel hearing that? How do you think your CID department has been doing recently?
Well, I mean, I can't reveal too much information. I can tell you this though. Okay, there's 100% been a case file created for your friend there. I mean, Sean Duffy's murder is something that's being investigated for sure. Uh, our CID department's doing well, but I'll tell you what, their casework's a little insane right now. There's a lot of ongoing cases, and we try our best to be there and investigate what we can. I think what's really unfortunate is and this isn't an excuse by any means, okay, but during Sean Duffy's death, we were in the middle of probably LSPD's most darkest hour and the worst shootout I think I've ever seen in my career. And we had about 30 officers bleeding out. It was really bad. All in the meanwhile, this happened. So we didn't have the manpower, let alone the detectives just ready and available to go straight to the scene and investigate it. And as the first 48 hours are like the most important as far as an investigation goes. And I feel like we were crippled at the time, and we missed our window to gather the proper forensics and evidence needed. But it does, every death in the city weighs heavily on our hearts, and you know, we want to get the people responsible if that is the case, by any means. And I'm sorry you feel like you haven't been supported sufficiently. I can tell you that we definitely are trying our best, and That's all I could really ever hope for, for
Yeah.
some of these officers is just give us your best you got, And not always do we get the W, not everything's a W for the LSPD, and that's a fact.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate reality. So you would basically say that it just really comes down to lack of manpower and the amount of cases that are currently open just every day in this city, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, we're working towards that manpower every day. We have an academy every 2 weeks. And it's just a problem of managing personnel. If I put some guys in CID, I'm taking really good cops off the street that we need, and vice versa. So it's hard finding that balancing act of, do I have enough frontline officers to justify another detective position? And while our roster might be huge, I look at the MDT and I see who's clocked in on duty, and that's my roster. You know what I'm saying? We can have all the names
Right.
we want on a sheet of paper, but at the end of the day, we need about 15 to 20 officers, frontline officers in this city, to even attempt to get ahead of the curve of the crime rate. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just a balancing act there.
Yeah, what some people might not, realize is there's one thing to be, a beat cop out there on the street, right? When you clock out, you don't have to respond to calls anymore. But when you're a detective, maybe you might be able to elaborate on this, but that's a 24/7 job right there. You might get a call in the middle of the night that there's a new lead and you have to, leave your family and go investigate that crime. And it doesn't appeal to most officers wanting to, put themselves in that kind of position, I would imagine.
Exactly. I mean, and it's a stressful one, man. It's a very stressful job being a detective, especially, with the caseload that comes in. But, our detective right now, Barry, he's the head of our CID division. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's doing really good work over there. And, I definitely commend him and his efforts. It's not easy. And that guy, he's on duty more often than he's not. And, it takes a special kind of somebody to be interested in investigative work of that level, let alone somebody who is willing to put in the amount of hours that guy puts in.
Absolutely. And I have heard, some feedback. I understand that, investigations are sensitive. They have to be kept, secret. But some people that have open cases and they've reported things, they feel like they don't get enough communication on, that their case is in progress. Their case is still being worked on. Do you think that, officers can kind of find a balance between confidentiality and then just keeping people aware of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, usually the closest friends and family will definitely be in direct contact with the detective. I'm, unsure as to why that's the case here with the mayor, the ex-mayor, Mr. Max Payne. It's probably something that we should look into and see why nobody's contacted him for information yet. But like I said, I mean, it just comes down to the availability as well. Important deaths like that shouldn't go overlooked. No death should go overlooked without being investigated. And it's just, if I could have an army of 20 detectives at my disposal, I would. But we have to work with what we've got for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Raj, when you were mayor, how do you feel your relationship with the police department was? And I would say just I guess overall, I know there was a change throughout from when you first became mayor to when you left office, but just generally speaking, how do you feel like the mayor's office position as it relates to the police department of the city?
You know, I think it was at first it was very shaky. I came in as a new mayor. The city hadn't had a mayor in some time, and the city had been a little bit culture shocked of previous mayors, or specifically of a previous mayor who did the city absolutely dirty. But I think, the relationship that came to be was what was important between my office and the law enforcement officers in the department. It was challenging at first trying to navigate, what is the real problem? What's the reason? And it takes a lot of constructive feedback, constructive criticism from both sides, the citizens of Los Santos and those who already have the badge on. What is the real problem here? And you know, I reached out to all the LEO department heads at the time, and I reached out to all the citizens that I could possibly grasp, and there seemed to be a common thread that we were able to navigate. And I really think, the mayor's office and the LSPD or any department head should really. It's almost unison. We work together. We work in unison because at the same time, at the end of the day, we want the same thing. So, it is absolutely critical that you have an open line of communication with all of the law enforcement officers who look over the state of San Andreas, right? And I think that played pivotal when I had heard from both sides, this is happening, and I made change for the better. And I think because I made that change, the mayor's office and all LEO factions created the commissioner's office on its own because you got to remember the commissioner's office is still very young. Commissioner's office was introduced when I was mayor. And creating the commissioner's office was a byproduct of failed attempts of department heads and citizens being frustrated at one another, but nobody was listening. Everybody was talking, but nobody was listening. And I listened to everybody, and I came up with a resolution. And I said, "Listen, this is the only way we can coexist safely and where we can listen to one another." And eh, you know that is how the relationship kind of manifested, was the continued work between our offices, the continued cooperation consistently, and quite frankly the transparency between the two has been immaculate from what I've seen from my time in office and continuing over. And that's what saves cities, that's what keeps cities safe right there.
Beautifully said. With that, you guys, we're going to go to a commercial break. You guys stay tuned.
All right. You boys ready to get into some shit?
Hell yeah, brother. Let's ride.
You'll never get your patch with that toy.
That's just what I was thinking. We should head to Sandy Motorcycles at Postal 277. They'll get you in a real bike.
Thanks, Sandy Motorcycles at Postal 277. I got a great bike at an affordable price.
They also saved us from secondhand embarrassment.
And we're back to the Strangers podcast. The question I'll open up next is Max Payne. How did you feel the state of the mayor's office was when you took over from Raj?
It's never been better. The way that Raj handled himself as mayor, the things he did, the way he included city council with everything he did, he knew. It's like he knew what he was doing. It's like he's done this before. And he, in my opinion, made the city much better. He left everything on a silver platter for me. The only real change that I had to when I became mayor was to help better Pillbox, now called Los Santos General Hospital, which I believe I did that. And everything else Raj did amazing at.
I would have to agree, absolutely. All right, so we're going to switch to a more lighthearted subject. After all, we are on the Strangers podcast, so of course we have to do some hot takes. So I'll open this question for everyone. If there was no laws for 24 hours, what would you do?
Tell you what,
I
man.
really want Rico to go first.
I'm gonna grab my CAC and load my Glock, man. It's gonna be chaos. All right. I'm gonna go hide in my house. All right. I'm gonna barricade up, and I'm gonna just let that shit pass. All right. There's a lot of people wanting to do a lot of damage out there, and it'd be a scary time for us all.
Yeah, Rico with a loaded gun in his other hand with his penis. I don't know. I'd be quite frightened myself.
Yeah.
Let me think about it, Raj. You want to go
All right.
first?
Yeah, I would tell you exactly what I would do if that's okay, Chester.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think if there were no laws for 24 hours, I would declare myself a gang leader. I would call it something really cool, fancy, probably something like the Patel Cartel, and I'd get probably 14 other bad-looking motherfuckers who, if you just look at them the wrong way, they're gonna fucking slice your throat open, right? And I'd surround myself with 14 other bad-looking motherfuckers. I'd take over La Fuente Blanca, right? And people could knock on my front door and fuck around if they wanted to find out. But that 24 hours only lasts for 24 motherfucking hours. So if they wanna try something, I fucking triple quadruple motherfucking dare them to, because we only got 24 hours, and I'm gonna be slinging fucking class 3 trafficking right outside the back gates. I've got ranch, so I've got to have illegal arms smuggling. I got to have illegal import and export of exotic animals, and I might get into the drug game a little bit, cocaine, a little bit of methamphetamine, whatever the fuck, right? And then that's probably what I would do if I had 24 hours of no law.
Holy shit! Sounds like you're making an empire in 24 hours.
This guy had a plan. Hey, but I'm not gonna lie, Roger. If you would allow me, I would love to join you in your endeavors.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, brother. So there you go. Hey, I would be right in his corner.
Hey, you know what? Fuck it. I'm in too, Raj. Okay.
I was gonna say same here.
Fuck
Same
it,
here.
all right, here we go, guys. Let's start this shit, baby.
Power in numbers. Let's go. Olivia, you have an answer? What would you do if there were no laws for 24 hours?
I would go burn down all the pawn shops besides my own, so no one had a choice but to use my own pawn shop. That's what I would do. And if the pawn leaders got in the way, well, I would just have to shoot them because I just can't have that. I need to be on top. I need to be the best of the best.
Fierce
Get
with
outta
the
here.
competition.
They need to get out of here. I'm trying to run them out of the town.
Oh my goodness! And for everybody
Jesus
watching, this
Christ.
is a hypothetical situation, not
Yes,
not real
hypothetical.
Oh yeah,
whatsoever.
hypothetical for sure.
Alleged,
Yeah.
theoretical.
Yep, for legal purposes, all jokes for sure.
Yep, 100%.
Next subject. Let's say that you were to meet yourself as a child. What advice would you give yourself? Anybody?
Would I be going back in time? How does this
Yeah.
work?
Let's just say that you were able to open a door to the closet of your room when you're a 10-year-old, and you could just be like, "Hey, this is me in the future." What advice would you give yourself?
Honestly, I think I would go back in time and tell myself, uh, you know, to probably not do drugs as an adolescent. It did some crazy things to me in school, and there was a good 4 to 5 years I just don't remember. So probably to not do drugs.
Wow, blacking out for 4 or 5 years. That's crazy.
I was on a binger, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Honestly, 10 years old wasn't even that far away. I mean, that's like right across the hall. But honestly, I'd say I'd tell that little shit to stop being a little shit. I guess would be, the main answer.
I would second that motion, Your Honor. I would second
Beautiful.
that motion.
Rico, any regrets as a kid? What would you change?
I tell myself, listen, never get into a relationship with Amber Newhouse. That's what I'd say.
Damn, that's a good one. Fuck, I should have took that one too.
Oh, Amber Newhouse. Sorry for your loss, man.
It's okay. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's fine. I think we all know what you mean. Olivia, any regrets or anything that you would give advice to your child self?
I would definitely tell my child self and all people, stay in school, kids. Do not leave. You need an education in this world. And that's all I would tell them.
Very positive. Very positive. This is one of our favorite questions to ask on this show, something that it's been debated forever. Does a straw have one hole or two holes?
Two.
Yeah, 2 holes. It's got to be 2 holes. I mean,
Well, wait a second
has one
now.
hole.
Isn't it one hole?
It definitely has
Isn't it
one
just a
hole.
continued one hole?
you're right. You're right. Wait.
Are you sure about that?
No, you're 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's just
two holes,
one hole.
on each end.
No, there's
Right,
one
it
hole.
never ends.
it's just a continued. Yeah, it's never ending, right?
Hole's like infinite.
Okay, but can't you put something in each side, and then there's you have two holes then, right? Because you can put something on each side.
Well, and technically, you don't know that if you're looking through one hole, right? Unless you've cracked the matrix code that I need to know about.
Well, I mean,
Because if you're looking through one hole, how do you know that you're not looking through the same hole and it's just one hole versus two?
so at what point does it change? If you pinch the middle of the straw, does it then become two holes?
No,
it's
it
because you're
becomes
pinching
one
the middle of the
blocked
hole.
hole.
Yeah.
One blocked hole. Okay.
It's like a clogged toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just only how many holes are in the toilet, right?
Yeah, so how many holes does the toilet have?
That one I'm not sure,
question.
Raj. You can take that one.
Trick question here. It depends. All right.
It comes
Well,
out
that's
somewhere,
true.
right?
Okay.
That's true. Wait, hold on.
Hold on, wait a
changing
second. I don't
sides.
think I was ready for that. Wait, no. No, it's one. It's one.
It's
It's
what?
just one. You know, like
Totally one, right?
Okay.
But I
Oh
mean,
God. What have we
if
done?
you flush the toilet, that ends up in like a facility somewhere down the
Right.
line, and it's not one hole to that facility,
You don't know
right?
that.
Because it
technically
like goes through
is. The hole
pipes
just
and different
opens and
pipes.
closes. Right, but I mean, technically, if it was one huge pipe, it would still be considered one hole.
That's
But
true.
because it's multiple pipes, there's multiple holes because each pipe is its own hole.
That's big brain right there. That's big brain.
I got you.
So, okay, so back to the straw thing. If you were to dig a hole in the ground, right, it's one hole, but it's stopped by more dirt because you don't go all the way through. But if you do go all the way through, all the way to China, let's say, China would say that they have a hole and you have a hole. So isn't that two holes?
Well,
I'd fall
the
through it
same
and see what
hole.
happens.
It's the same
Yeah.
hole, is it not?
Yeah,
So
the
it's just
same
one hole. It's just
It-
like China and
right.
India fucking continuously fighting over the same mountains. Whose mountainside is it? You know what I mean? Technically, it's it's just one mountain, but China claims it was one mountain and India claims it is their mountain. So technically, in their eyes, it's two, but it's really one in reality.
All right. Well, definitely appreciate your perspectives on that situation. I don't know. I'm in the two hole group. I feel like just because you can put a pea on one side and a grain of rice in the other side of that straw, you have two holes there.
Well, yeah.
Well, let's say your
okay, yeah.
tongue is long enough to fill the hole. Does that still mean you have two holes? No, you have one hole being filled by said tongue.
No. Okay, so my tongue goes in one hole and it comes out another hole.
No, it comes out the same hole.
So in reality,
yeah,
I guess
'cause it's
the
just
wording
one-
would be, I guess you could say that it's one hole with two openings. Is
Yeah,
that what
with
you'd
two
say?
entrances or two exits.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing, though. Anyways, I appreciate that. It's interesting to have everybody disagree and then agree at the end of it. Next subject. If you could wave a magic wand and change something about the city, what would you change?
Oh God. To be quite honest with you, I would change the laws of this city. Hands down. Period. Dot.
Oh yeah. So anything that sticks out to you when it comes to the laws?
All of them, everything about them, the way that they were written, the way that they are currently interpreted, because there's a lot of loopholes, and I'm not saying any law structure or any law book is perfect, but ours is just a leaky boat on a it's just a leaky boat on an ocean waiting to sink. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I agree with you, Raj. To be honest, I would say cops and and lawyers would probably be in agreement that there's a lot that needs to change as far as the way that these laws are worded, and I think even the times the fines should be relooked at for some of these. We have some people that'll get an evading charge and do more time than somebody with an attempted murder charge, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Not at all.
And then the way that they're worded on paper is very vague. Almost all of these are very, very vague.
Yes.
And I think there should be a little bit more clarification on some of these. And I just think that the DOJ and maybe the next mayor, whatever, need to sit down, even if they want the police input on it, about how some of these laws are worded.
100%.
Beautiful. Any input from you, Max or Olivia?
I would definitely change like the speed limit. I am so tired of getting speeding tickets. That's all I would change.
Allegedly getting
Those speed limits
Alleged-
exist for
Yeah.
people like you. That's
Right.
that's why they exist.
No, they need to go away.
Well, if you think about it, you go through a speed trap and it takes money out of your bank, but if somebody's rich, then they don't really feel that as hard as somebody that just joined the city. So it seems like if you're rich, you can kind of just get away with speeding and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. Think of the little people, the new ones.
I wonder if maybe it should just be a percentage instead of an actual set limit. I don't know. If you could wave a wand and change anything about the city, do you have an answer for that one, Max?
Yeah, it's something I would do, but something I won't get into.
Oh yeah, by all means then. What general category would that fall under? Is it laws or just?
That would fall into leadership.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I appreciate you guys' time here today. What we'll do to wrap up, we'll go one by one. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the people watching? Any advice? Anything that you would like to shout out or plug? Starting with you, Raj.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, I have just become a newly bar certified lawyer. In your future, coming to a city near you, Patel and Partners, ladies and gentlemen. Call Patel, because Patel is for the people.
Beautiful, beautiful. Definitely gonna get some people hitting you up for that. And Max, anything you'd like to shout out or plug, or any advice for people watching?
I want to shout out Rico and what he's done with PD. That's about it. Thank you guys.
Oh, thanks, man.
Beautiful, you Rico.
You know, I don't know. Shout out to these ex-mayors and shout out to Ryan Miller for mayor, man. Ryan Miller for mayor.
All right, and last over here, Olivia.
Just thank you for bringing me here, even though I really wasn't supposed to be here. But yeah, thanks.
Oh no, definitely a pleasure. We definitely don't have a set script here, so we always like to mix things up for sure. So very very much appreciated you guys coming on the Strangers Podcast. This is Chester Bedingfield. See you guys on the next one. You ain't gotta go through it all alone. You ain't gotta go through it all alone. All alone. You ain't gotta go through it all alone. All alone. You ain't gotta go through it all alone. All alone. You ain't gotta go through it.
Weazel Productions.